this is a new segment on the Isaac's Movie Page channel where I'll talk about topics related to do with Doctor Who, or maybe not. Maybe I'll expand the show to do other geeky topics. But for the most, for now, it's going to be a show where I'll talk about topics about Doctor Who which don't really justify having a whole video talking about them. I'll call it Doctor Who Talk because I'm really uncreative. Now, first thing I want to talk about is there's a rumour that Game of Thrones actor Charles Dance is being rumoured to play the Master, and in an interview Paul McGann stated himself that he'd really love to see Charles Dance play the Master and he think he'd be really good for the part. What's my opinion? Heck yeah! I love Charles Dance, yeah. My only really reference of knowledge to do with him is really Game of Thrones. I think I might have seen him in a few other films and such, but Game of Thrones is where I think most people know him from. And if you've seen Game of Thrones and you've seen him play Tywin Lannister, it just shows that he is the perfect guy to play the Master. You know, he's sort of like cold, calculating. I mean, obviously he'd have to play he'd have to play a much different Master to John Simm's Master, probably more like a Roger Delgado Master, because of his age. I mean, he's 67, but, you know, I don't think that's too old. I mean, he certainly looks good for his age. And, but yeah, as Tywin Lannister, he's a lot more cold, calculating, kind of, not pure evil, but just, he's definitely the guy he's pulling all the strings, and he's incredibly intelligent, and I just think he'd be so good at it. If you just in some scenes where he's sitting on the Iron Throne, just sort of lays back and it shows that he's completely in control of it, and he's 2 steps ahead of everyone. And I think that would be a perfect characteristics for him being the Master. I think with him being well, I mean, he's actually like 10 years older than Capaldi, but he's in more of a closer age range to Capaldi, and much more so than John Simm. I think it would make sense to recast John Simm, just so we can have a Master that parallels the Doctor more. But if you want to hear me talk about this topic, then I did talk about it in my top 5 things I want to see in the Series 8, where I talked about the Master there, and if you want to see it, there'll be a link in the description below. Though I do want to see at least a regeneration scene with John Simm, because I do like his take on the Master, and I really do want to see a farewell to him. I don't want just, like, say, Charles Dance or whoever does take over, if the Master ever does return, which I think he probably will. If that does happen, then I do want to see a John Simm regeneration scene, just so we can say sort of goodbye to his Master. Another rumour I've heard talk about is some people want, well, it's not really a rumour, but I've heard a lot of fans saying that they want a 10th anniversary special, a 10th anniversary for the revival of Doctor Who, which happened in 2005. Russell T Davies brought the show back in 2005. You probably already know this, Series 1 with Christopher Eccleston. Next year, 2015, will be the 10th anniversary of that, and a lot of fans want to see a 10th anniversary special of New Who. And I've heard a lot of them saying they want it to be a multi-Doctor special, like Dave the Doctor, you know, spring Matt Smith and David Tennant, and heck, let's throw Paul McGann in there. And I think that's kind of a silly idea, for a number of reasons. One, we just had a multi-Doctor special, and a pretty damn good one of that with Dave the Doctor, and we saw, I mean, the Doctors that you would bring back for the 10th anniversary of New Who were the Doctors, for the most part, that appeared in the Day of the Doctor. You had David Tennant and Matt Smith, and I don't want to see David Tennant and Matt Smith in another multi-Doctor special so soon after that one, because I mean, it just takes away the uniqueness of it. And you know, Matt Smith has only just left. I mean, as much as I love him, I don't want to see him return to Doctor Who 2 years after he's left. I want to see Capaldi, you know, really come into his own. I mean, it would be like if Day of the Doctor happened just after Series 5, where Matt Smith only had 1 series. David Tennant would still be on a lot of people's minds, and he just completely overshadowed Matt Smith. And bringing those 2 Doctors back specifically, I think is a really bad idea. Also, I mean, if you brought Eccleston back, just Eccleston, have a Capaldi Eccleston special, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I mean, if Eccleston wouldn't return for the 50th, I doubt he'd return for a 10th anniversary special of New Who. You know, if he won't return to the 50th anniversary special of the whole show, why would he return for the 10th anniversary special of something like a section of the show? And yeah, that's another thing I don't like. It's like having a 10th anniversary special for the revival. It shows like it split them up, because like, okay, a few years ago, yes, there was a massive divide between old Who and, you know, classic Who and new Who, but now the change, I mean, especially with episodes like Day of the Doctor, they all feel like the same show now. So I can't see Stephen Moffat going, yes, let's have a 10th anniversary special where we'll completely divide these two sections of the show. I just don't. I think it's kind of a silly idea. As fun as it might be, and I know, I mean, I love an anniversary special as much as the next guy, but what's good about an anniversary specials is that they're special, you know? You have to have, like, at least 10 years in between them. If it was up to me, like, 25 years, you know? If there was to be a 10th anniversary special for New Who, I would like to see something a little bit more subtle. Like, maybe, say, the first episode of Series 9, have an episode where the 12th Doctor goes up against the Autons, like he did in Rose, the first episode of New Who. Or, you know, there's references, or maybe a few companions return, like maybe we see Donna again, and maybe we see Martha again. And maybe bring Paul McGann in, 12th Doctor, because Paul McGann is the bridge between Classic Who and New Who. Maybe bring Paul McGann in, but don't have it as a big multi-Doctor thing like Day of the Doctor is, because it will only, one, I think it will only pale in comparison. Two, it's just oversaturation of the market. What do you think? Do you like the idea of Charles Dance playing the Master as much as I do, or do you think he's not a good choice? And what do you think of the idea of a 10th anniversary special for New Who? Do you think it's as silly as I do, or do you actually quite like the idea and you just want to see another anniversary special? Thank you. Please put your thoughts in the comment section below, and please subscribe. Thank you. This was Isaac's Movie Page, and thank you for listening.